Hello, you're watching Behind the Scenes with Spider Queen, episode 8. You can see Gloomy Squid in the studio here right now. Gloomy Squid also does all of our character art. Let's get a nice better view. See, you can see Gloomy Squid's in there. Gloomy Squid also records the narrator lines for Spider Queen. You can see we're here in the booth. Here, let me get a better view here. Here you see the Spider Queen episode 8 script classified. You can't see that. You got Gloomy Squid is in the studio behind the glass there. I'm here, and you can see it. The the mic comes out. It goes into, nope, I lied. It goes into here, and then the cables go into this Focusrite 2i2 interface, and then that goes into the iMac, which then goes into Pro Tools, which I don't have open yet. But yeah, so Gloomy Squid's in here recording some audio today.
Sound of X.
I don't know if they can hear that, but probably not. So anyway, this is the episode 8 Behind the Scenes. We're gonna get some recording done. All right, here I am in the studio. It's actually been a while since I've been in here. It's kind of nice to be back in recording lines for Mike and Mbakashi for episode 8 because I lost them. I can't find the audio files, so we're re-recording. We got our new mic. We're in the studio. It's gonna be fantastic. And by the way, happy Halloween! That's right. It is Halloween today. I don't know when this episode's coming out in terms of today, but it's Halloween. Let's give you a quick studio tour here of the Iceberg City Studios booth. It's changed over the years if you haven't seen it since the last time when we were doing it. Here we are. We've got our brand new microphone. This is actually the first time this mic is being used for recording. It is a TLM 103 microphone. Very, very nice mic. As you see here, we got the booth. Kind of goes back. We got our nice Dragon Ball Super Broly poster. I have no affiliation with Dragon Ball Super Broly. I just thought it was a cool poster and wanted to hang it up in the booth. Over here, you'll see we got outside the glass where we're recording. Usually, I'm on the other side of the glass here, but when I'm recording, I'm on the other side. I'm in the booth when I'm recording my lines, but when I'm not recording my lines, I'm on the other side of the glass there, recording for the actors that are in here. Usually Ian or August or Gloomy Squid or Ven. One of those. Usually I'm on that side recording their lines. I get to do it myself. So I have like this little weird setup down here where it's all Bluetooth sync into the computer out there into Pro Tools, where it records what we're doing. And I'm really excited to get back into recording because I love voice acting. It's my passion, and it's just so fun. I love doing it. I love bringing characters to life. So here we are getting ready to record Mike and Mbakashi's lines for episode 8. The royal family reunite. So I'm about to start recording the prologue lines for this episode. Now, usually when we have lines from the last episode that we sort of play at the beginning, we don't re-record them. But since we have this brand new mic, I want to re-record it, and I didn't quite like the way that they came out in the last episode. So I'm really excited, especially because this is such a great mic, and the audio in the last episode was so amazing, and this mic is going to make it even better. So here we go. I'm just going to record this quick line from the beginning of this episode. All right, and recording. Here we go. Taste the wrath of Bakashi Tenzo's strongest attack. Baka Ka La Ka La. Big explosion. That's all you get. You have to wait until the rest of the episode comes out. Welcome to the audio editing part of Behind the Scenes of episode 8. As you see here, this is Pro Tools for editing the audio. Let's see if I can turn you there. Yeah, there you go. We're editing the audio a little bit for episode 8. We just began. We're about 2 minutes in, which means we're probably 2 pages into the episode, because usually how it goes in film and animation is 1 page in the script equals 1 minute. Now, let me see if I can get the script up here so I can try to give an estimated time on how long. So wow, okay. This episode is 19 pages, which means this episode is probably going to be close to 19 minutes, but the Miken's Bakakalaka technique is probably going to be a minute itself, and that's one line, so that's going to be 20 minutes. Add the credits, so it's probably going to actually be about the length of an episode that we want it to be, right? Because we want the episode of Spider Queen to be about the same length as your average anime episode, which was like 22 and a half minutes, 25 minutes. The closest we got was the first episode of Spider Queen, which was 26 minutes, which was really long. And then all the episodes in between were short or long or not right. So this is probably the closest to accurate we're going to get. Once we start part 2 and part 3 and season 2 and season 3, which we already have all those scripts written, those episodes really fall into those 22, 23 and a half minute deadlines. Now we're moving on to the audio editing process. As I said, here we are editing the audio for Spider Queen episode 8. And sometimes when we're in the audio editing process, we come across something that we don't necessarily want anymore. Whether it is a line that looked good on paper but doesn't end up, being that necessary to the storyline, or maybe the audio didn't come out very great, so we just decided we're going to scrap it. Now, I got to a point that's sort of like that, where we have Miken using the Bakakalaka technique, which happens in the very beginning of this episode, because that happened at the very end of episode 7. Now, usually when we do the audio, where we add the audio from the previous episode, we just reuse the audio. And I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier because we had the new mic, we wanted to do it. Now, yeah, we don't record the audio with the music or the sound effects that you hear. We add that music, we add the sound effects in afterwards. Now, I got this part where Miken's using the Bakakalaka technique, and it seemed like it was missing something, and I wanted to throw in a music track. So I found a good music track. I edited it down to be absolutely perfect, and it sounds really cool. The problem is the Bakakalaka technique line does not fit in with the music, the piece of score that I just spent like 20 minutes, 30 minutes editing. So I had to get to the point where it's either we have two options. Either I cut this piece of music that I spent 20 minutes editing, or we re-record the line, which usually we don't go back in the studio. We don't go and re-record the line. Now, in this case, I just so happen to be lucky where it's one of my lines. I voice Miken and I'm editing. I can just easily go in and re-record the line. Now, if it was someone like August or Ian or Bella or someone that needed to be in the studio to record their line, then we're in a little bit more of a difficult space, because like now I got to try to find time to schedule the time of the actor. So usually if we came across something like that, we would just cut it. But I am fortunate enough to be able, it's one of my lines that I can do it. And I didn't really like the way that the line came out anyway. So I'm going to go back in the booth and I'm going to re-record the Bakakalaka technique. So when you're hearing it in the video, remember that that was like the third or fourth take that we did, and we had to go back and redo it just for that one music piece. Now, we really want to try to keep once we get into the audio editing process, we don't usually do that because we usually want to try to keep our deadlines, keep the deadline of when the video is going to be released. Now, we haven't been doing that very well, considering the gap between episode 6 and episode 7 was a year. Now, with episode 8, we're trying to release it a lot quicker than episode 7. So right now we have an unofficial deadline of November 10th, which is 2 weeks from now. That is not a public deadline, but we want to try to meet that. So we normally wouldn't do that. And because we're trying to meet that deadline, I'm cutting this short. So we'll see you later, and enjoy the video editing process of the video. So here we are, well into the editing process of Spider Queen episode 8. We are on day 3 of editing the audio. And for those of you out there that don't believe that this video was filmed in multiple days, in an earlier clip, I mentioned that it was Halloween, and now here I am sitting with a Dunkin' Donuts holiday cup. Anyway, we're well into the editing process for the audio of Spider Queen episode 8, as you can see here. And we want to run across a peculiar problem, and that is going to be sound effects. Now, you might be wondering, how do we get all the sound effects for Spider Queen, the series? And the answer is, over the past, years that I've been working in the audio field, I have built my own sort of like sound effect library. It's not very big, but it's usually big enough that I can get away with the episodes. However, we came up to a peculiar problem, which is footsteps. And footsteps are always a problem in every episode of Spider Queen. And I say it's a problem because with footsteps, you can't just have one footstep sound effect. Each character walks differently. Each place they're going is different. The pace that they're walking is different. So really, whenever you have a sound effect in an episode, you have to record that specific sound effect for that specific character each time. And now I thought we were going to be fine with sound effects in this episode until we got to a specific scene that I actually skipped over and forgot that that scene was in the episode. So I went back to start doing this scene and I realized I need footsteps in this episode for this particular part. And it is when Myken is talking with Orzik in that weird like after reality space time that they're in. I was going to just go right to Myken and Seer, but then I remembered, oh wait a minute, there's this Orzik scene, and Orzik has to be walking mysteriously towards Myken, and now I have to record a new sound effect. So we're actually going to show you what it looks like to record sound effects here in the studio, what it's like to do the Foley sounds, because it's kind of cool, and I think you guys might be interested in it. So that's what you guys are going to see next. So here we are, we're on the floor in the studio. We have our piece of wood right here, a little piece of like Luan, and then we have our pair of like oldish dress shoes. These are sort of like the two essential things that we're going to need besides the recording device. And you can see in the back we have a couple of spiders in here, you know, because it is the Spider Queen studio. We gotta have some spiders. So anyway, how do we record this? So we either are going to use this Tascam sort of like handy zoom linear mic. As you can see, there's like sort of two microphones on this, so you can sort of point these in whichever direction you want the audio to be recorded. So usually I record sound effects with this thing, especially if they're like outside or footsteps, or we can use this rig right here, and it's a Rode N2G shotgun directional condenser microphone. Let me take the thing off, you can get sort of a better view of it. This was actually given to me by a fellow friend that does audio work here in the Portland area, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Shout out to you. And either that or I'm going to use this rig, and you can kind of see it's got like this boom mic pole as well. And I don't usually do both ways, and I don't usually record the footsteps this way. However, I wanted to see which one would give me a better effect, and I couldn't find the pop filter for my handy zoom. I actually have like a filter, it's a foam filter that goes over that, and I couldn't find it. So now I'm just decided I'm going to record it both ways to see which one sounds the best. The actual recording part, how we do it, is quite simple. It might look a little silly, but here we go. I take the two shoes. I know the light's probably not the best in here. Let's try to, there we go. I take the two shoes, and now the light's very bright. And then, you know, I just start moving them up and down like that on this piece of wood to make the sound effect. And that's pretty much how you record the footstep Foley sounds. Here we are in the process of rendering Myken's Bakakalakala. Unfortunately, you missed most of the fun part of the rendering process, but this is just the tail end. So I know some of you have been wondering how we get the scenes and whatnot set up. And so here we are, we're in Adobe Premiere. You can see here's our bin, our library bin with all of our different characters. So this is our shot right now. We got this wide shot. We got Spider Hermit over here. We got Spider Queen, the Spider Princess. We got Bakashi right here. And we have the background right here. And you can see that those are all layered up right there. Now, Spider Hermit right now is about to have a line. And you can see that his mouth's closed. So what I do is I go to the bin. And I pull the character of him with his mouth open. I drag it over onto the timeline. You can see there he is. Now he appears. But I want him to be the same size, height, and location as that guy. So I go and I click on that one, which is the other Spider Hermit. And I go over here, and it shows me that he's at scale 58 and position 126, 532. So I'm just going to focus on scaling him up here. So I'll do that, and you can see that he goes down. And then I can mess with the position here over there and sort of drag and drop him. I know I can more precisely get him if I did the exact numbers. I could just type in the number of the exact position, but I like it to be about 1 or 2 off, because then it gives more of a movement look to it when it switches between shots. So now here's what it's going to look like if I was to drag it onto the timeline and play it. So you see that his mouth opens. Unfortunately, hold on, let me drag the background out further so then we can see it better. Okay, so here, you know, I got, and his mouth opens. So that's pretty much how we go, and we go shot by shot and do that. but also we frame the different shots differently. Like here's a more closer up shot of Spider Queen, close up of Spider Hermit, and then now we have a wide shot, just as sort of like a different establishing shots. So we're at the part of the episode where Spider Hermit undoes his confused spell, and the kingdom goes back to normal because it was all just an illusion. And I put this sort of cool effect over the transition so you can see the castle going back to normal the way it normally looks. But it's been so long since I've worked with this image, I forgot how bright it was and the greenery and how bright it's pretty funny. So for the very last part of the behind the scenes video, you're going to see here the creation of the final sort of scene, the shot. I think it's also going to end up being the thumbnail of the episode, which is the funeral. And as you can see, we got, Bakashi and Myken and Spider Queen, Spider Hermit, and Spider Doc in the background with Orzik's coffin. And now we're just making the townsfolk here that are here to watch the funeral. So we're here on Photoshop. It's a lot easier to make a big picture background like this. Screen grab is a lot easier to make on Photoshop and not inside of a Premiere. So what you'll see is I'm just making a bunch of duplicate copies of this layer, which is definitely probably an easier way of doing this, but that's what I'm going to do. And then you just click on the X-axis here, and you'll see another guy pop out right next to that one. And then we just keep doing that again a bunch of times until we have all of the ones that we want. All right, I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes making of Spider Queen episode 8, and we will see you all next time.